Alright everyone, this is the Doom guy here. I am a very big Doom lover, and hence I'll be making 3 videos starting with the accessories one first. Once you follow me. See you there.
Here we have the Series X Starfield skin. I think made by the same guys who made Doom, because they're virtually identical in the way they present themselves. This has been on my Xbox since pretty much the start of the release of Starfield anyway. Obviously you can see it's got all the holes for each area, and you can see how it closes up over here. It's extremely easy to take this off and you're done. Starfield, they have done just a very basic inside compared to the Doom one, but it's still very nice. Anyway, time to put it on the console. Alright, so very easy to film. Just make sure you've got it the right side in. You can see all the holes connecting up to it. And it closes the same way as the Starfield one. And there we are. And here we finally have the helmet, or rather the two helmets. The one on the right is the Doom Eternal helmet, looking closer like a Space Marine helmet, and on the left is the Dark Ages helmet, which I received recently. They actually look really similar on the box cover, so much so that I thought it wouldn't really be worth getting it. But as you see, the two are very different. The one on the left, the medieval fantasy one, is more angular with a smaller visor, and you have the more studded look and steel on top, as opposed to the more angular Space Marine looking helmet. You also got a instruction manual, and because it's software, some really nice surprise patches, really nice quality, and a metal blue card, which is prevalent in these games, and it's made of nice steel, nice and heavy. So here we have the two helmets with their lights switched on. For the lights to be on, you require two AA batteries which go just underneath the chins of both the helmets. Obviously the Dark Ages helmet is on the left and the Eternals on the right. Obviously not exactly fireworks coming out, but the Doom guy, the Doom Slayer, whenever you see him in cutscenes, you don't see him running around with a rainbow of colours blinking on and off from his helmet, so it's probably good enough to have this red. Let's say both helmets. And finally we have the Doom Dark Ages Collector's Edition statue, which is essentially all that came with it apart from the game, which was through Steam, and the only thing inside there is a Steam code. But I wanted to have a look at this from the back first, because when I saw the back I just went, wow, this is pure ID. How awesome is that? What an amazing drawing. So let's open up the collector's edition. Extra in here is this. Oh, nice. Do the Dark Ages. It seems heavy, so it's inside there. Oh, how awesome is that? Red card, and that's to go with the blue card. Both heavy, feel weighty, similar to the Starfield cred stick you get in the collector's edition. But that's great. Wasn't expecting that. The drawing is also very nice. Okay. Right, here he is. This is probably the best statuette quality wise, size and quality wise I've ever actually seen, or that I've owned. It comes disassembled. So he's got the super shotgun, and he's got chainmail, mace that he throws about 5 or 6 missions into the game. He's also got the furry back, so you can just see this. chainmail. Nice. And all we have here with the super shotgun. The quality and detail on this figure is absolutely insane. Alright, let's have a look. There's his shield on top of his back. You can also add essentially the little furry back thing that he has in Dark Ages. There's two connectors here which connect up like that, but I think I'm going to prefer to have him with those details in the back. So yeah, probably the best statue I've gotten from the collector's edition. Maybe tied with the Cyberpunk 2077 one with V on the motorbike. So this is the conclusion of this unboxing Doom video. I hope you liked it. If you did, it would be great if you give it a thumbs up, maybe share it, and subscribe for more, because there's going to be a lot more gaming content coming out very soon, including a post-release Doom the Dark Ages video. But for now, thank you for watching Aussie Gamer, and I will see you next video.